Number 10. Ringer. This series starring Sarah Michelle Gellar is about Bridget Kelly, a recovering drug addict and stripper in Wyoming. Having witnessed a crime, she is put under the protection of FBI agent Victor Machado, after agreeing to testify against her employer, local crime boss Bodaway McCauley, whom she witnessed committing murder. Fearing that McCauley, who has already murdered several witnesses linking him to previous crimes, will also kill her, Bridget flees to New York City to meet her estranged twin sister Siobhan. Soon after Bridget's arrival in New York, Siobhan, who had kept her sister's existence secret from her family, appears to commit suicide by jumping into the ocean. Bridget then assumes Siobhan's identity and tries to fit in among Siobhan's wealthy social circle, including Siobhan's husband Andrew, stepdaughter Juliet, best friend Gemma, and Gemma's husband Henry, with whom Siobhan had been having an affair. The only one who knows that Bridget is passing as Siobhan is Bridget's Narcotics Anonymous sponsor Malcolm. Bridget's life becomes more complicated as she discovers that her sister was hiding secrets of her own and that someone is trying to kill Siobhan as well. As she wades deeper into her sister's life, she starts to realize that she may have jumped from the frying pan and straight into the fire. Number 9. The King's Affection. The story is set during the Joseon dynasty, at a time when twins were considered an ominous sign. As a result, when the crown princess gives birth to twins, an order is sent to kill the daughter. To save her, she is secretly sent out of the palace. A few years later, the twin daughter, Dami, returns to the palace to work as a maid. When the male twin, Crown Prince Li Wei, discovers her, he convinces her to switch places with him from time to time but suddenly loses his life through a case of mistaken identity. Their mother realizes the court maid Dami is her twin daughter and persuades her to take Li Wei's place in order to prevent the crown from collapsing completely. In order to keep her secret, Wei is told to keep her emotions in check and not get too close to anyone. A feat that is easier said than done when Li Wei starts developing feelings for Young Ji-woon, who is from a noble family. Her court life becomes complicated when Young Ji-woon becomes her royal tutor and later a court scribe, while he himself also gets confused romantic feelings about Li Wei, believing that he is a man. Number 8. Echoes. This Netflix miniseries is about identical twin sisters, Lenny and Gina, who from a very young age have secretly switched places. As adults, they continue to switch identities every year, unbeknownst to all the people around them, which leads to them leading double lives where they share 2 husbands, 2 houses, and a child. When one of the twins mysteriously goes missing, their world is thrown into disarray as the other is left to play both parts. But the disappearance of one of the twins knocks down the first domino that unravels the tangled secrets of their past and present. Complementing this story is a steadfast detective who tries to make sense of the messy puzzle pieces of Lenny and Gina's lives together. However, the twins have made sure to leave some key pieces of the puzzle out of reach, making for a gripping and shocking binge watch. Number 7. Your Honor. This drama revolves around Han Kang-ho and Han Soo-ho, who are twin brothers, but whose paths and personalities could not be more different. Soo-ho, the slightly older of the two, was his mother's favorite, a straight-laced top student all his life and grew up to be a prominent judge. After becoming a judge, he allowed himself to be bought and didn't always commit to making sure justice was served. In fact, because of one of his rulings, there is someone who would like to see him dead. Kang-ho, on the other hand, was despised by his mother and was made to feel like an outsider in his own family. His mother constantly told him he wasn't as good as his older brother, Soo-ho, and that she wished he had never been born. As a teenager, poor Kang-ho later discovered his mother had adopted him out to a family member who had no sons of his own. He grows up to be an ex-convict with multiple criminal records and a misspelled tattoo on his bicep. On the day he is released from prison, Kang-ho, attempting to avoid yet another conviction, heads to his brother's home on the day he mysteriously disappears. Through a case of mistaken identity, he finds himself posing as his brother, playing the role of a judge, and happily accepts the bribes his brother is routinely offered. At first, he has no intention of keeping up the masquerade until he begins to see the good he can do with a gavel in his hand. With the help of his overzealous legal aid and training, Kong Ho is successful at measuring out justice and even decides to go after some rotten guys, who because of their money and power, have never had to pay for their evil deeds. To the victims he gives justice, he becomes known as a dear judge. Number 6. La Usurpadora, aka the Usurper. The Usurper is about two identical twin sisters separated at birth. One grows up to be Paula Miranda, the First Lady of Mexico, who is stuck in an unhappy marriage to Carlos, the President of Mexico. The other twin grows up to be Paulina Doria, a kind-hearted woman in Colombia who runs an orphanage and tends to her aging mother Olga. At the outset of the show, Paula Miranda discovers that she is adopted, but she resents her twin and the fact that their biological mother chose to abandon her, but keep Paulina. Eager to escape the tedious life of being the First Lady, wife and mother, so that she can run away with her lover, Paula plots to pull a prince and the pauper switch with her newfound twin. Paula lures her sister to Mexico under the guise of wanting to make a large donation to the struggling orphanage and then kidnaps her. Paula blackmails her sister into assuming her identity for 2 weeks by threatening to have their biological mother murdered. Paulina accepts the role of the usurper and moves to Los Pinos, the presidential palace. However, unbeknownst to Paulina, Paula plans on having her killed publicly so that she can steal her identity and be permanently free of her old life. During the independence celebrations, Paulina is shot. However, not only does she live, but the National Intelligence Center opens an investigation into the shooting, thinking that the president was the real target. The president himself also hires a private detective, the former agent Facundo Nava, to investigate. After recovering from her gunshot wound, Paulina takes to her new role, finding her new public standing the perfect opportunity to engage in social activism. Meanwhile, after running away, things quickly turn sour for Paula and she ends up killing her lover in Bora Bora after a misunderstanding on her part. Paula decides to go back to her life as First Lady but is unimpressed with the total usurpation of her life by the twin she hates, and tries to kill her again. Paulina on the other hand does not want to give up the life she has grown to love and is not willing to sacrifice her position of social influence for charity. Number 5. You're Beautiful. You're Beautiful is a funny and touching story about Ko Minayo, who grew up in an orphanage with her twin brother, Ko Minam, since childhood after their father died. Years later, Minam becomes a music idol and Minayo lives in a junior nun dorm to fulfill her dream of becoming a nun. One day, Minam successfully auditions for and wins a spot in a popular boy band. However, he must leave for another country in order to correct his botched plastic surgery. Minam's manager approaches Minayo and requests her to pose as Minam for a month till he recovers. Minayo is against it at first, but eventually agrees, as a path to fame would give the twins an opportunity to find their mother. Thus, Minayo poses as her brother and joins the boy band, where she meets its members, the arrogant Huang Taekyung, the gentle Kong Shinwoo and the bubbly Jeremy. At first, Taekyung is against Minam's addition and makes her life hard, while Shinwoo and Jeremy are friendly to her. Eventually, Taekyung discovers that Minam is a girl and threatens to reveal it, but Minam manages to win him over. Through their interactions, Taekyung begins to develop feelings for Minam. Shinwoo and Jeremy also develop feelings for her, even though the latter think that Minam is a boy. As Minayo struggles to hide her secret from the media while performing with the band, she discovers her mother's past, which is somehow connected with Taekyung. Number 4. The Crowned Clown. The story takes place in the mid-Joseon period, when upheavals and power struggles surrounding the throne had reached extremely devastating levels. In order to escape those who plan to assassinate him, a cruel and paranoid king forces a clown, who looks exactly like him, to assume his identity on the throne for some time, as the king is being treated for severe paranoia and mental illness. As the clown settles into his role, the palace is upended as the king's enemies are confounded by the impostor's creativity and his ever-expanding circle of allies, who are glad to see the king finally become the kind and wise ruler they have always wanted. The clown's situation becomes even more complicated when the queen, seeing a gentler and kinder side to the man she believes is her husband, starts to fall in love with him and him with her. Number 3. The Lying Game. Based on the book series by Sarah Shepard, the show follows Emma Becker, a kind-hearted foster child who learns she has an identical twin sister named Sutton Mercer. Sutton, unlike Emma, was adopted by wealthy parents and is seemingly living an ideal life. After their initial meeting, Sutton talks Emma into stepping into her life for a few days while she pursues a lead on the mysterious identity of their birth mother. After Sutton inexplicably fails to return to the girl's designated meeting place, Emma must decide whether to come clean about her identity and risk her own safety in the hope of uncovering her twin sister's whereabouts, along with the truth about why they were separated in the first place. As Sutton, Emma discovers more secrets and lies than she could have imagined. Number 2. Orphan Black. Starring Tatiana Maslany, Orphan Black is about a streetwise hustler named Sarah, who witnesses the suicide of a woman who looks exactly like her. After overcoming her shock, she assumes the dead woman's identity, intending to keep up the charade just long enough to clear out her double-sizable bank account, and then leave to start a new life with her daughter and foster brother Felix. But things do not work out as planned when she is pulled into a compelling conspiracy where she discovers that she is a clone, and has several sister clones spread across North America and Europe. Sarah also discovers that somebody is systematically murdering all the clones, and that she, in particular, is special among the clones, as she is the only one of them who was able to have a child, even though the clones are sterile by design. Number 1. The Blood Sisters. This fictional story follows the lives of triplets, separated as infants, and the complex events that bring them together. The main storyline revolves around Erica Castillo, an exotic dancer. Her work as an entertainer helps provide for her son's medical bills, but her job also exposes her to the seedy darkness and dangers of the business, and that's what happens one evening when she witnesses a waitress murder a syndicate member in the club's private dancing room. The killer, known only as Anna Cruz, quickly disappears with a ledger. The crime syndicate is eager to retrieve their ledger, which they wrongly assume Erica took. So they dispatch henchmen to take back the ledger and silence her permanently. With her life and her son's safety at risk, Erica leaves and escapes to Manila. With the help of her best friend Tonio, she searches for Anna and the ledger. The assassins catch up with her in Manila, but she manages to escape and fate hurls another woman along their path. The woman, Carrie Almeida, is a dead ringer for Erica, and the killers mistakenly shoot and abduct her, instead of Erica. Meanwhile, Erica finds herself assuming her double's identity, hiding under the safety net of Carrie Almeida's glamorous world. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to support the channel by subscribing and hitting the notification bell.